This is your Wretched Recap for October 17th, 2025. What's going on, guys? I'm Zach, the Wretched Watchman, and welcome to the Wretched Recap for October 17th, 2025. And so we're going to be covering a few things that have happened in the past week that I think are worth discussing and going over. And if you guys want to find out more information, you guys can go check it out yourself, or you guys can check out the past couple podcasts this week. So we're going to be covering a couple new things and a couple things that we've already covered, but I think are worth bringing up again in case you missed them. And again, you can always go check these things out yourself or watch the past couple of podcasts that we've done. But yeah, we're going to be going over a few things, including the UK Children's Wellbeing in Schools Bill. This is something that's flying way under the radar, but I think people need to be aware of. I mean, they really need to be aware of, especially if you're in the United Kingdom. But yeah, if you're over here in the United States as well, if it's moving its way into the United Kingdom, it'll eventually move its way over here. So we're going to go over that. We're going to talk about Trump's Bitcoin bonanza with his wealth skyrocketing through cryptocurrency and what all that includes. We also got the Global Bank Alliance with their stablecoin. I know we understand that the stablecoin seems to be the direction that they're moving here when it comes to getting this digital currency online. So we'll talk about that. We also got a update on the Pentagon press policy that just went into effect, as well as the SOUTHCOM Admiral has resigned, which that's going to be interesting, especially since we're seeing what's going on with Venezuela and the boats and stuff happening there. So we're going to talk about a few of these things. And so first up, UK's Children Wellbeing in Schools Bill. Now, we went over this in depth in one of the podcasts this past week. So again, go check that out. I know a lot of people don't like to watch them because they're too long, but I'm telling you, there's a lot of information in there that you're not going to be otherwise aware of. So I always recommend going in and doing it. Watch it in stages. You don't have to sit down and watch the whole thing all at once. Watch it in bits and pieces here if you don't want to do that. So, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff. So we covered this past week, but it is worth going over again in case you missed it. I also have a clip video of this out as well on my channel, so you can look at that as well. But this is the UK Parliament Children's Wellbeing in Schools Bill, and it's a long bill. There's a lot of things. It's currently in the House of Lords over there, so it's making its way through. But there's a few things that I think are worth mentioning, including taking away parental and child rights, which means no consent is going to be required for personal information gathering or sharing on your child. Decisions regarding school curriculum and the determination of quote-unquote suitable education is taken away from the parents and transferred to the state. So the state will basically control what your child learns, how it learns, where it learns, and so on and so forth. So this is basically taking away the rights of parents for the children and giving power to the state over your child. There's also a digital ID required for every child. Required, which means government issued unique identifier linking data across schools, health services, local authorities, and police will be attached to the kid. There's no opt-out and no disclosure of who gets what information. And this will also create new databases as well. And also on that is the attack on homeschool, the mentally disabled, and religion itself. Homeschooling parents must submit curriculum for state approval and present reasoning why homeschool is more beneficial than public education. Basically saying if you're going to homeschool your kid, not only does every ounce of curriculum that you're going to be teaching your kid must be approved by the state, but on top of that, you must submit a form basically telling the state why homeschool is more beneficial for your child. And the state will have to agree with you on that. Otherwise, they will be forced into a public school or so on and so forth. Private education, if that's something that you want to do. So basically, again, whatever you want to teach your kid must be approved by the state, and how you want to teach your kid. On top of that, this is going to affect and remove countless curriculum and education style teaching systems for disabled kids, the mentally disabled, those who have like autism and other things like that, who special needs that require a different type of thing. It's going to actually scale that back, making it worse for the kid. And then on top of that, religious teaching must require approval as well. So whatever we already know that they're attacking religion and various different faiths over there as well. So if you want to teach your kids the Bible or something like that, it must be approved. And if they don't approve it and you get caught, well, that's that. So there's a lot more in the bill. We discussed a lot more about it, again, previously on the channel, but I urge you, especially if you're in the United Kingdom, go check it out. And if you're in the United States, I'd still check it out as well, because if it's going there, it's coming here. We also got Trump's Bitcoin bonanza coming up on this. We know that there's been a major push for the Trump family when it comes to just increasing their wealth tenfold through Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And we got this coming out. This is Trump joins Bitcoin billionaires with $870 million in crypto holding. Trump holds $870 million in Bitcoin through his 41% stake in Trump Media, which purchased $2 billion in cryptocurrency as of July 2025. And it says Donald Trump has become one of the world's largest Bitcoin holders through his stake in Trump Media and Technology Group. His indirect Bitcoin position is valued at around $870 million. The holding places him among the top cryptocurrency investors. And if we jump down here, it says Trump's crypto involvement extends beyond his indirect Bitcoin holdings. He launched World Liberty Financial with his three sons during the 2024 campaign. The project attracted over $1 billion in token purchases after his election victory. The only reason why he's able to get this much crypto and Bitcoin resources because of a corruption deal that he made with the United Arab Emirates, where they bought $2 million in stablecoin from World Liberty Financial as a transaction for computer chips and stuff. I did an extensive deep dive on that on my channel. And you can find that there, talking about the chips and the crypto deal and everything. It's a totally corrupted deal. So go check that out if you want to know more about what's going on. But the reason why Trump is gaining so much wealth and the Trump family is gaining so much wealth through cryptocurrency is because of shady, corrupt deals like that, where he's leveraging his presidency and us, the citizens of the United States, in order to make personal wealth. It says the president also released a meme coin that added nearly $1 billion to his net worth. These ventures have raised ethical questions about potential conflicts of interest. The White House maintains that neither Trump nor his family engage in conflicts of interest. Yeah, why would the people that work for Trump call him out and say that it is a conflict of interest? So it just shows that politics and governments and all this stuff is corrupt, and cryptocurrency itself is a giant Ponzi scheme. Something that we absolutely should not be a part of. But we've talked about that extensively. Again, I've also got that deep dive on the deal if you want to learn more about that. We also got Global Bank Alliance Stablecoin. And so we talked about this as well this past week. It says global banks form alliance to launch stablecoin. And it says a group of the world's largest financial institutions is exploring the creation of a form of stablecoin or digital money. Banks such as Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, Citi, and BNP Paribas are also are joining forces to create a reserve-backed digital asset. It says other participants in this initiative include Banco Santander, Barclays, Deutsche Bank, MUFG Bank Limited, TD Bank Group, and UBS as well. It says if it succeeds, it could change how big banks and companies make transactions. It could bring together the trust of traditional banking and the speed and transparency of blockchain technology. Although some major banks have already shown interest in issuing stablecoins, this collaboration marks a significant collaboration and a significant shift. This plan comes from the Congress passed Genius Act, a law aimed at establishing clear rules for payment stablecoins earlier this year. Now, we've been talking about stablecoins for a long time on this channel, but basically these things are much more dangerous than CBDCs. These are basically fascist coins. They're corporatism coins. Rather than going through all the legality and red tape and politics and policy and everything that CBDC requires, basically this transfers the power over to private corporations that issue these things. And private corporations can just turn off your money, track your money, and do whatever they want to because you're on their private corporate platform as opposed to a government entity. So these are a lot more dangerous. And we're seeing a major shift with a lot of companies that are making their way towards the stablecoin thing. Trump and his administration are heavily involved with this and major supporters of stablecoin. Some of his family issued their own stablecoin when it comes to this as well. So that's a part of it as well. But getting all these banks, all these global banks, huge banks getting involved with creating an alliance for stablecoin is a significant shift. And I always talk about this too. It's important to remember that we know that there's going to be a one world economy system that's going to occur during the 70th week of Daniel. And a lot of people tend to think in the direction that it has to be one currency for the entire world, even though the Bible doesn't say that. It just talks about an economic system that's one world. Through digital coins, through stable coins and whatnot, you could have 500,000 different currencies all around the world being used. But if they all are working on one platform, one transaction system, and they can all be interchanged without any hiccup, without any issue there, then that would technically fulfill the one world economy system. So when we talk about one world economy, when we see what's going on with stablecoin and whatnot, this could potentially fill that place. We don't know. Things can change rather quickly, but it is worth keeping that in mind as we watch the one world system continue to be formed in front of us. Next up, we got the Pentagon press policy. This is a pretty important thing when it comes to what's going on with where we get news and how we get news and all these types of things. Now we know it's walking through a landmine that's on fire, that's dropping bombs all around us when it comes to collecting news and trying to figure out what actually is going on and what is truth and what is lie and so on and so forth. But this is going to make things interesting. I don't know if it's going to be good. I don't know if it's going to be bad, but it's going to be interesting. And so Hegseth put out the Pentagon press policy, basically saying if you want to have an office, you want to be able to work within the Pentagon, which is the country's largest office building. It's just an office building. But if you want to work there, have a desk there, and be able to participate in the briefings and whatnot, you have to sign a policy basically saying that you cannot solicit news on your own. Everything that you gather must be given to you, must be approved by them. And basically what that's saying is, rather than actually being a journalist, because that's the number one thing that you do as a journalist, is you go and you solicit information from people and from findings and recordings and all those things. That's what you do. You can't do that anymore. You're basically going to become state media, which we will hand you what we want you to print. And that's what the policy is about. And so taking a look at this, we can see who is signing this press policy and who is not signing. And so if we look at the signing, it's a much smaller list. Now, before this thing went into effect, the only one that signed on was One American News, OAN. We already know that is state-run media. They've been that way from the beginning. Never get anything from One American News. One American News is the right-wing's version of CNN. If there's two news sources that I recommend people don't get anything from in any capacity whatsoever, it's One American News and it's CNN. Just completely ignore them. But then a couple signed on afterwards. Epoch Times, no surprise there. They're basically an arm of the Trump administration and Christian nationalist movement anyways. The Federalist, so you got that as well. And then you got some random ones. A lot of them are from foreign entities, but you got Oxfam and Anadolu Dolu Agency. They're from Turkey. You have the Australian, the AWPS News, USA Journal Korea, the India Globe, and several other little freelancers that are going to do it. So as of right now, those who have signed on, again, I've always talked about, don't be surprised if you start seeing Turning Point USA do their own media at that point. We understand Truth Social connected to Trump Media Group, which is also connected to and funded by the people of Rumble and JD Vance and Peter Thiel and stuff. So that's all working in there. We understand that the Trump administration is moving into influencers and podcasters as opposed to regular media companies as well. So that transition is happening as well. So looking at it, anybody who's on the signing list, I would completely avoid at this point. There's really no reason to listen to what they got going on when they're signing up to become state media. And then I've always talked about beware of the podcasters and the influencers and the Rumble people and all those people. Just be very careful. Not signing is a much larger list. You guys can see who's all involved with that. Shockingly, Newsmax did not sign, which I thought they would because they were pretty attached at the hip, but they didn't. But yeah, so all of those groups not signing, they basically had to hand in their credentials and no longer have a position, a desk or a place within the Pentagon office building. So we got that as well. So again, it's a landmine situation walking through the media stuff as it is. You just got to be able to vet and piece things together and critical think and again, not believe everything and just kind of try and piece things together with what we're seeing going on and always look through the lens of scripture. So it's a process, but it can be done. It can be done. And last but not least, we got SOUTHCOM Admiral resigns. It says, in a surprise move, head of U.S. military for Latin America to step down. It says the admiral who leads U.S. military forces in Latin America will step down at the end of this year, Defense Secretary Hegseth announced on Thursday. It says Alvin Halsey took over the U.S. military's Southern Command late last year for a position that normally lasts for 3 years. So he's basically not even halfway through his tenure here, and he's bailing. A source familiar with the matter told Reuters that there's been tension between him and Hegseth and questions about whether he would be fired the days leading up to the announcement. It says Halsey's departure comes against the backdrop of a military buildup in the Caribbean that includes U.S. guided missile destroyers, F-35 fighter jets, and around 6,500 troops as Trump escalates standoff with Venezuela government. Now, this is something that we have been following for the past month, this escalation with Venezuela. And there's a lot of moves and stuff happening, a lot of boats that were just being told are drug runner boats, even though there's been no verification of who's on the boat, who owns the boat, what's on the boat, if there's drugs involved. They're just illegally, war crime illegally blowing up boats and people, killing people in the ocean. I think we're at boat 7 or 8 now that they've blown up. Again, we're not getting any verification of who these people are. We've also gotten word from the president of Colombia, Petro, I can't remember his last name, who also said that we blew up one of their boats, not a Venezuelan boat. Now, do I believe that? I don't necessarily know. Again, there's a lot of stuff happening here that we can't verify, but my opinion on this, to have an admiral of this dude, he's a 4-star admiral. You don't see too many of those just stepping down like this, especially not even finishing out the first year of a 3-year term. Something tells me he knows what's going on over there is illegal, that there's an escalation coming towards something bigger, and he's getting out of it now before he's pulled into the middle of it. That's my perspective as of this moment of this recording with the information that I have gathered for the past month or so. Things could change, but it seems like this dude is bailing out before things get bad, and he's holding to his oath to the Constitution as opposed to just going with what he's being told by the Trump regime. And if that is the fact, then I salute this guy, and I appreciate his honor and integrity for doing what he's doing. But we'll see what happens from here on out, because it seems like there's going to be an escalation with the Venezuela thing. So that is the Wretched Recap for October 17th. I normally said that these things would be about 10 minutes or less, but we're sitting at 20 minutes. But sometimes you just got to go over things. I like depth on this stuff. I don't necessarily like just reading a headline and leaving it up on that. But again, we've covered some of this stuff in the past. Go check out the past 2 podcasts or clip videos and stuff that I have going on. And then there's some new stuff on there as well. So always go do your own research, check into things, and always verify it with scripture and so on and so forth. So I'm going to leave you guys right here. You guys have a great one, and have a good weekend coming up. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Peace out. Maranatha.